say.
We're at the BD Boys podcast. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Special guest, friend, District 55 State Representative, previous mayor of Elk City.
That's it.
Nick Archer.
Howdy.
Thanks for joining us, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. I was a little nervous. I told you I made some notes because, we've been friends for a long time, but you're kind of big time in my eyes.
I don't know about that. I figured I'd get uninvited. I halfway stood you up last time.
Well, you're kind of big.
Kind of last minute said, "Hey, gotta pivot." So thanks for rescheduling.
Hey, I never hold that against you because I do it sometimes too. So seriously, like being District 55 State Representative.
Yeah.
Kind of walk me through this. What entailed you? I know it kind of started with the mayor. But what entailed you? Why did you want to get involved with the state political, game? I
don't know that I wanted to, right? I think to a degree things just kind of happened,
right?
But what got me started down the path per se is when Katie and I moved back here in 2013. That was when Elk City stood up Leadership Elk City. They were trying to make Leadership Elk City a thing. It was Class 1. I got invited there, right? And so participated through there. It's a great program. I would encourage anybody watching or listening to this to apply. I mean, you will learn things about this community and the area that you would have never thought about, right? How do systems work? How do funding things through our county, through our city, just the nuts and bolts of how things work. And so I saw that. Even then, I didn't really think, oh, I want to go do that, right? But then, I was working at Great Plains Analytical, and Jordan and Jonathan and Mike at that time were talking about building a new building, right? And they said, hey, you got an architecture degree, you're going to help us with this. And yeah, of course, you're paying me. I have the skill set. Let's start going. And so through that building that you see on 3rd Street, I kind of ended up the liaison, right? The client rep, if you will, for gas through the builder and the architects and those kinds of things. And that meant going to some planning and zoning meetings and some of that stuff. And through that process, I got a little frustrated with just how it is to get a building permit and some of that stuff. And so I thought to myself, heck, I just went through this Leadership Elk City deal. The goal was to get people engaged. There's problems here. And so it wasn't too long, after some of those planning and zoning meetings that I went to the mayor, Bill Helton at the time, and I said, hey, listen, if there's ever an opportunity, you need somebody to serve on planning and zoning, I could or would be interested in stepping in there. And he looked at me and he was like, yeah, you want to do that? And I'm thinking, not really, but we need to, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he said, okay, well, our next meeting's Wednesday and we'll get you on there. And I'm like,
you're in.
I'm like, holy crap. I was thinking, 6 months from now, somebody leaves. He's like, nope, we're going to get you on there. Awesome. And so I got to serve on planning and zoning, got to change some of the ordinances. And so made it where you can have mixed use zoning downtown in the C3 zone district of Elk City because, a lot of those buildings downtown have apartments and things above them. But through the zoning regulations, legally, it doesn't mean it was enforced, but through the zoning codes, you couldn't live up there. And so that's silly. So we changed some of those zoning codes and those kinds of things. And then as I served there, I served several years on planning and zoning, and I had no intent per se to to do anything else. But then the conversation of Caps invested in the community came about, and I thought, I support that, right? Like I know it costs money to invest in yourself, but I have all these credentials from an architecture degree to master planning stuff. I feel like I can add value to make sure that that's executed properly. And so that was why I decided to run for mayor was to help to make sure that those things, had somebody with a little formal training looking into them and that stuff. And then as far as the state rep, I was enjoying being mayor. I still miss it. I still feel like I got out before, things were tied up and done. But with the House seat being open due to term limits, there were a lot of people who, and I hadn't considered it, but there were a lot of people who were like, "Hey, you gotta go fill Todd Russ's spot." And I don't know, you start to hear it enough, you're like, yeah, maybe you're right, maybe I should. Yeah. And now here we are, coming to the end of my second term, which will be fourth year in the legislature. And have enjoyed it very much. Man,
that's all. And you're right. I mean, Leadership Elk City, I was in the second class, and until you go through something like that, you don't understand. I mean, we all, citizens all want to gripe about certain stuff and the input about certain stuff, but you don't know until you go through that. And you got me on a couple of city committees, and which have been fantastic. I've loved them. Went in not knowing anything and learned certain aspects of our town, which we have an unbelievable town. And I'm not just trying to pat you on the back, but part of that recently is because of you taking over mayor and introducing some of your skill sets, and Micah getting in there now is going to do a terrific job. Man, we have a lot of good things going on in our city right now.
It's not me as an individual. It's not any singular person. I mean, it takes the commitment of everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
And well beyond even the mayor and commission. I mean, to get all of that done, like you said, all of the boards, all of the people who volunteer to help try to make a difference in whatever area that they're interested in or they're passionate about. Without all of those individuals, it doesn't matter how hard one person works.
Sure. It's a team.
Yeah. If you're not all bought into the same dream, it's tough. And I feel like that's what's special about Elk City, specifically Western Oklahoma as a broader area. But we are kind of, I would say, bought into the same dream and vision.
Absolutely. And that's what you see, I feel like, in the city. I call it the city's team, their employees, that Tom has around him, is everybody's bought in. Yeah. I mean, you can see it around town. You can see stuff going on all the time. And, I mean, it's exciting. We pull from such a broad area in Elk City, I mean, just with the sports aspects.
Yeah.
That, I mean, it is good to see things going on in our city, the beautification of our city, coming to life. Finally, we were kind of behind the curve.
I don't know if we were behind, but we certainly weren't at the front. We weren't on the leading edge by any means. Sure. And I mean, you could make the argument now using just a handful of statistics that we're not just on the leading edge in Western Oklahoma. I mean, we are truly on the leading edge of all cities and communities across the state of Oklahoma.
Yes.
And that's something that, as Western Oklahomans, we have to be proud of.
Right.
I was fortunate enough on Tuesday to give the keynote at the annual chamber banquet, and that was some of the things I talked to you. You mentioned the ball fields and the arrowhead and some of those things. Mm-hmm. The most recent statistics for those say the ball fields this year will bring 100,000 visits.
Golly.
From almost 35,000 visitors.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So think about that. I mean, Elk City's population is under 12,000.
Right.
And 35,000 people will use our ball fields. When you look at the stats for the Arrowhead, they're very similar. They're slightly higher. It's something like 115,000 visits.
That's nuts.
When you look at our aquatic center, that one's right there too, 100,000 visits. And that is the traffic, the regional traffic, the strength we have kind of as the hub here off I-40 in western Oklahoma. That creates strong retail. It creates strong sales tax and those kinds of things, which if you look at us as a report, push Elk City to the top of a lot of lists statewide.
No, absolutely. It's impressive. I will say one thing on currently what you're in on now that fascinates me, I want you to talk about a little bit, is the space industry of Oklahoma, because I've been keeping up with it, through your stuff, your content on social media and stuff like that. But like, what space-related companies are currently, coming into Oklahoma right now, and what does that mean for Oklahoma in general? Kind of talk about that, because I know a little about it.
Yeah. So aerospace as a whole, I mean, not just space.
Right.
Aerospace as a whole is Oklahoma's second largest, fastest growing industry. Some of the most recent economic data says that within 5 years, aerospace will be the top industry. I mean, think about that. It's on pace to become the number one industry in the state of Oklahoma.
Golly.
Not oil and gas, which is currently number one.
Right,
and,
absolutely.
When you think about Tinker, when you think about the American Airlines facility in Tulsa, the Tinker facility is the largest public, meaning government, public MRO facility in the world.
It's huge.
Yeah, not just the United States, in the world. And so when you think about all of those opportunities in all of the companies who've attached to that, that means companies like Boeing have a pretty significant footprint in the state today. There's a lot of other companies who have been largely traditional aerospace companies who now have direct hands or adjacent avenues into the space market. And so space as a standalone is also growing because we know that the activities of space as a nation, we have taken for granted our dominance of the high ground, right? Like, we made it to the moon. We beat Russia, and we've kind of just like sat back and puffed our chest that hey, we're the owners of the high ground.
That's right.
And the reality of that is China especially and several other countries are moving towards space dominance much faster than we are. And so we've kind of been complacent in our top tier spot. And these people behind us have really been working their tails off to catch us and surpass us. And so that has put us in a national security position where we got to start doing more as a nation. Mm-hmm. And so when you got to ramp up a lot of this, where do you go? Well, you go where those economies are already ingrained in that advanced manufacturing and in all of the things that translate easily from traditional aerospace into space. And so, there's so much. We have Agile Space, who is opening. There's a ribbon cutting, I believe it's next Friday in Tulsa, which they have what will be our area of the United States only hypergolic thrust engine testing facility. So think like medium lift rockets and things of that nature. They're going to do all of that testing right outside of Tulsa. They were able to do that through legislation I was able to author and get done. We had, as a state, a lot of frameworks and incentive type things for traditional engine testing, like air breathing engines. Think about the the jet turbine on the 737. But through those statutes, those programs, none of it applied towards space. And so, 2 years ago, we updated that to include space in our engine testing and engine propulsion initiatives at the state level. And we're having a ribbon cutting in Tulsa next week to celebrate some of those wins.
Man, that's awesome. What about stuff like this came over to Burns Flat area?
Oh, yeah.
The spaceport over there. Like, what companies have kind of came over there or have interest, or, I mean, there's been some ribbon cuttings for certain stuff over there as well.
Sure.
What kind of talk about that and who those are?
Yeah, so Premium Aerospace, we opened a hangar there. They had a ribbon cutting. Yes. I want to say middle of October, somewhere right around there. Yeah. That's the first hangar to be constructed there since the 50s.
Dang.
Yeah, think about that. I want to say 54.
The pictures I saw looked great.
Oh, it's state of the art. That's probably a $20 million hangar. And it's only a very small piece of their business plan. Right. Their business model and their plan, that would be one of 7 structures that are ultimately in their business plan and model. So I know they've already signed with ODA, the Oklahoma Department of Aerospace and Aeronautics, some contractual lease for additional space. Now, I don't want to get everybody excited. I don't think they're going to break ground on that next week.
Right.
But I mean, they're moving, and those plans are moving, and they are engaging in those contracts for that additional space on the apron there. And so that's the traditional side of things as far as aerospace. On the space side of things, those opportunities, we meet with companies all the time, and honestly, I probably can't talk about all of them. I can't give you the names because of NDAs and some of that stuff. But this in the last interim, so we got out of session in May, and so it's, as a legislator, you're in the interim until February, and so over the interim, I've met with 9 different companies who've requested meetings, specific meetings about their plans and how they could see Burns Flat working into their plans. And, a lot of them are funded. Some of them aren't funded. And some of them are looking for, some slight statutory shifts that would help them in what they're trying to do. Sure. We had an interim study in the House of Representatives that I hosted, which was the Space Renaissance Study. I can tell you the companies that participated there. We had Boeing participate. We had Amazon participate with their Kuiper project, awesome. which is similar to what Starlink does with SpaceX. We had Agile Space. We had Firefly, we had Nordam, and I'm leaving some out, so hopefully they don't get mad. But, I mean, we had a great list of participants.
Sure.
And I'm telling you, that doesn't mean they're going to move all of their operations to Burns Flat, right. But it tells you they're interested, or they wouldn't have participated.
No, that's right. And that's big. I mean, that's big time, because we always talk about, no matter who you talk about, or who you talk to in the city, we need industries out here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, oil and gas, farming and ranching has always been, our hub, and it's fantastic. But you have to be diversified in an economy to thrive in certain times, right?
Yeah.
And just seeing that stuff going over there excites me, not just because I want them to all drive Fords.
Sure.
Just, kind of like you, but
they probably will.
They probably will, but but for our whole town in general, our retailers downtown, restaurants, just anybody to have stuff going like that and having people come out here, because they're going to come over to Elk City.
Yeah.
Nothing against any other town around us, but we are the hub.
Yeah.
And for Western Oklahoma, and it just, I don't know, it's exciting. I feel like if, as an individual, if you care about the town and you hear this stuff and you don't get excited, you're just kind of complacent where we're at.
Yeah, and that's something I said in that chamber keynote. Momentum is a gift, but it's also a challenge, right?
That's right.
And a lot of communities, they get a few wins, they get comfortable, and then they start really protecting what they have instead of chasing who they could be what they could be. And so, I don't want our momentum to stagnate. I don't want to get complacent because we have a good thing here. We have a great thing here. We have something that's very special, very unique. Again, for rural America.
Sure.
I mean, when you look at the statistics of population decline and how that affects rural America across the United States, and then you focus in on Beckham County, like we're kind of an outlier in all of those statistics in population, in how we collect sales tax. I mean, nobody likes paying taxes, but we got to have them to pay for services and that kind of stuff. And if you look at our taxable rate, we're right in line with every other municipality. And so some charge more, some charge a little less, but we're in the median as far as sales tax collections from a percentage standpoint. Now, when you look at the actual collections month to month, we are well beyond communities way bigger than us. When you think, the city of Elk City may average like 1.2 to 1.4 million in sales tax collections in a single month.
Right.
That's incredible. That beats Weatherford and Clinton combined sometimes. And I don't say that to knock them.
No, absolutely. It's impressive.
It takes all of us. It's more than Altus.
Yeah.
It's a lot of times more than El Reno. I mean, it's basically the number one municipal collection west of Highway 81.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible. And if you break it down into per capita, population collections to dollar amounts, it puts us in the top 5. I mean, it only puts us behind a few like big tourism hubs and Oklahoma City, and so someplace like Ho Chi Town, where the defined population is, very small, but people you got thousands of people. Those are the only type places that outpace us on a per capita basis.
No, it's impressive. I mean, and it's consistent. Looking at those numbers, because I look at them every month, and I heard a guy say, I think it was last night after the Thunder just dominated the Rockets. He said, consistency is sometimes boring, but it gets you a lot of wins. Yeah. And I feel like Elk City, Western Oklahoma, is getting a lot of wins from being consistent over the years, and it's showing daily in our community. So no, that's awesome, man. And I mean, anything, I know you're about to start session next month, so I'm glad to get you in January. It's awesome. We can end kind of what are your goals on the next session for the year.
Yeah. So this year, we start session first Monday of February. It runs through the last Friday of May. Statutorily, now who knows like what the actual end dates and stuff will be. It could go long, it could go quicker. We're looking at that. We're starting to consider budget hearings, and so next Tuesday, for anybody who's interested, you can catch that online or in person at the Capitol. We have some of our transportation. I sit on the Appropriations and Budget Transportation Committee, and so OSIDA and the Oklahoma Department of Aerospace and Aeronautics, their budgetary requests will be presented on Tuesday of next week. So I'll be in the Capitol hearing that. All of those budget hearings are starting to happen now. Those agencies, those departments, they'll come in and start doing these presentations like, here's our last year's budget, here's our this year's budget, and what we're requesting. And then that's what we will take as legislators into session to, try to figure out, okay, we can fund these, we can't fund these. Because if some of the requests that I've heard that there's roughly likely $2 billion in additional requests across all agencies, all departments, all of that stuff. So you hear flat budget, this kind of stuff, but a little bit across every state agency. Yeah, it's projected right now to be like a $2 billion increase. When you think about the state and collections, we cut the grocery tax, we lowered income tax by a quarter point last year. So we're not collecting what we have. So our collections are down. In those statistics, we're like 750 million. So, we're down about 750 million. Due to good policy, not collecting some of those taxes, letting our people keep that money in their pocket. And now we gotta figure out how that meshes with, the inflation everyone sees and how that translates into about $2 billion in additional requests. So that's coming. It's not the fun part of the job, but it's one of the most important pieces. I can promise you that. Sure. And then just filing bills. So yesterday was our deadline for introducing our bills. I had to have language, had to have those submitted. Got all of those done. As a member, we in the House, we are allowed 8 bills each year. And so one of those bills I've introduced would change how we tax farm equipment. Mm-hmm. That's not really standard across the counties. It's not really standard across a lot of things. And so the cost and the capital investment of farm equipment is just insane. I mean, it's mind-boggling that a combine can cost $500,000 or, specialized certain pieces of cotton strippers and those kinds of things. They can be $1 million. And the state taxes those as property. Right. And it's not really defined, and it's kind of, at the assessor at the county level's discretion of how long that has taxable value and what that valuation is. And so I've introduced a bill to try to, add an actual framework, like a table, like this is how we will tax this stuff. Right. And after 4 years, that value is zero. Like we're not going to tax it after 4 years. Sure. In some instances, you may be paying taxes for 10 or 12 years on some of that stuff.
It's a long time.
And it doesn't seem fair, like I said, given all the other things. So we'll see about that one. Introduced several energy bills since I chair the Energy Committee. The big one there is looking to create the regulatory framework for nuclear energy within the state. And so when you think about where energy is headed in the demand growth, I mean, it's a hockey stick curve. If you look at any projections of how much power the United States needs over the next 10 years, we got to generate it. A lot of that will come from gas power generation. We're moving away from renewables. We're moving towards more firm power, right? Just because of the 24/7 demand need of data centers and these kinds of things. But as we do that, nuclear is moving. Nuclear has been around since the 50s. We've had highly enriched small modular reactors on submarines again since the 50s, right. And I would argue they're inherently safe. That technology is growing, it's changing fast, and so we don't have companies knocking on the door saying, "Hey, we want to build a nuclear plant in the state somewhere." But if they come in 2 years or 5 years, or as that technology continues to advance, we can't then, as a state, say, "Okay, well now we got you, Mr. Company. Let us build the regulatory framework." Those regulations might take 2 years, might take 5 years.
Right. We got to be ready.
And so if we don't have them in place now, all of that development, all of that opportunity is going to go to other states. So we got to get ready.
That's right. Man, that's impressive. That's impressive. Well, dude, I appreciate you.
No, hey,
today.
I appreciate it. And I got to say, I got a lot of Fords.
You do have a lot of Fords. And I appreciate it.
I bought them all from here.
I think we went to your house this morning.
You did. Yeah, I seen your dad. He was dropping Katie's off. She'd got a little service.
He's good about running around. And hey, one thing I did want on your truck, because I know you do a lot of driving back and forth during session.
Oh yeah.
If people see you on the road and your hands aren't on the steering wheel, it's because that Blue Cruise is at work.
Hey,
you're one of the forefronts, my guy, on the Blue Cruise.
Let me tell you, I gave you a lot of grief about that because I've had that truck for a few years now, and it just I don't know. When I first got it didn't quite work right. Not that
it was a forefront of technology.
Didn't work. It was kind of new especially to Fords. But it was the whole reason I got the truck, like, hey, this sucker can drive itself. But no, I use that every time. If I go to the city, I use it. It works great. There was a recent update which will let it change lanes now.
Oh, yeah.
Which, last year, say this time, I had to change lanes myself. But I want to say a couple months ago, Ford pushed an update, and so now you just hit the blinker and it'll change lanes on its own.
I'll tell you a little bit of a story about that. I'm driving home in one F-150 one day, and I didn't even. A lot of times Ford will do these updates and won't even tell us. And I'm on 40 going west, and I put the blinker on. That sucker takes it over there. I'm like, whoa! Hey, here we go.
It'll go, man.
It's a cool feature.
I've let that thing. So last summer we had an Energy Council meeting. In Little Rock, Arkansas. I let that truck drive me all the way to Little Rock.
That's impressive. Well, man, hey, appreciate you. Wish you, honestly, all the luck. Appreciate you what you do for Western Oklahoma, representing us.
Yeah, happy to do it.
And appreciate you as a friend.
No, hey, and you're a great basketball coach, coaching your girl and my little Amelia.
That's right.
Kicking butt, you and Christina doing a great job. So thank you for that too.
Well, hey, you're welcome. We're going to take championships this year.
Oh yeah, we're going to win.
Experience the difference, Barber, Dyson, Fords, where you save.